Recording. Oh yeah.
Boom. In case you guys didn't know, you're being watched.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's whip over to gold real quick. See what's going on with this. So again, it's not dollar news. The dollar is really not doing too much. It's remaining bullish, but that's how you know it's just gold. Like something's going on with just gold. Right. So like we discussed, I'll try and find some articles that we could maybe cover at the end regarding this and just seeing how it played out. And it's just a learning experience, because things like this happen, guys. This is essentially an effect of the world economy. Something happened that's going to, affect the price of gold. And, speculation follows. It's represented here on the chart. But essentially, yeah, so that's how it goes. The beauty of Forex, guys. So yeah, this thing absolutely dumped right from 1800, didn't even retest again. Usually when it's news related, it's just going to drop in one direction. Huge wick. So usually news kind of just accelerates a trend. So you'll notice these higher time frame levels still kind of work to an extent, meaning like, we're seeing rejection here at the monthly, rather than somewhere in between. That is somewhat valid in that regard. But yeah, that's a huge amount of pips. Let's look at the daily for a second. Just get an idea of, yeah. So look, it's still played within the max low that we've seen recently, pretty much dropped to that, which is I believe 1675 area, right? Yeah, right around the monthly there. But yeah, so again, accelerating the trend. We're expecting this to drop anyway. We're waiting for a break of consolidation. Obviously, there was no setup here unless you're an absolute sniper. Like you have to be, I don't know, crazy.
You would have had to already be in a sell based on something else.
Yeah, something crazy. So like in reality, I mean, we can put this here in theory. Ideally, this is what we want to see, guys. But pretty much you got to wait for normal price action to resume, right? This means we want to see a trend kind of take place. It could pull back. Either way, we want to see some lower highs and just normal market movement. This is just absolutely absurd. But yeah, the Bears came back, man. They did. Boom. Things just dropped like a stack of.
Yeah, the dollar is surprisingly very strong, huh?
Yeah, it's sturdy. When I saw this happening, I was like, all right, maybe something's going on with the dollar. Then you started looking into news, and then you jump over to the dollar, and you're like, yeah, it's not related really at all. But this thing went bullish now. So let's continue with that, right? Let's go back to DXY for a second. So we were bullish or overall bullish in the higher time frames. Actually, let's go to the daily for 2 seconds here. So overall bullish, right? We broke back above the monthly, got a higher low, started consolidating, formed a sort of range in here, had a couple fake outs, one to the upside, one to the downside, and now we're back to bullish. So we're pretty much waiting for a confirmed break some sort of higher low at this point now. But when it was breaking, we were looking to the downside. We were looking for a lower high. Didn't really show one. It just kind of consolidated at that point, and then it pulled back into the range. Huge bullish momentum. So now, essentially, we want to see this continue a little bit higher and then go for a pullback, or we could see a pullback now. But either way, we just want to see higher lows, pretty much above 92.5, like this area here. You just want to start seeing it form a normal bullish trend. You don't want to just see it take off in one direction. So yeah, definitely bullish outlook here on the dollar. And yeah, it's looking good. I mean, this volume is nice. Very, very clear that it looks like it's going to continue a little bit higher. And then we'll just monitor that this week and see what happens. But yeah, it went bullish, man. I didn't, after this drop, because we were covering this analysis, again, a couple weeks ago, and we were at this area. And Angelo, I believe you had this as a key resistance area. And we kind of had it as like it's either going to break higher or reverse at that point, and it reversed. But now we're going back for that same attempt. So we'll see how it reacts here again, guys. Maybe this is the real break. We just want to see some sort of higher low and continuation. But yeah, that's the dollar. So with that bullish outlook, let's move over to AU. See what's going on here. This one's looking really good, but we've been getting these quick entry opportunities. Like the last couple of weeks, things have just been like kind of moving pretty early. So here we are on AU. Overall, pretty bearish, right? We just broke key support here at 0.74, came back up to retest, and it was giving us this kind of expanding pattern. Like the volume was increasing, as you can see. But either way, still overall bearish, right? We just wanted to confirm some sort of strong reversal signal at this level that we could then enter short on. And then that, presented itself here. We got this lower high, which was an indication that it was going to, push lower. Still needed a few more confirmations. We got a little MA cross, then a bearish engulfing that would have been a decent enough entry. So yeah, that was it there. And now it's dropping. This was the likely scenario. We're expecting it to, definitely continue bearish. A little too late for entry now. So if it wasn't, if you were in this, you'd pretty much be maintaining it now. But if it does pull back and form some sort of lower high, closer to this minor resistance, it's 0.738. Any sort of pullback with a lower high, good confirmation. You can then enter on that and take the same trade idea down towards support here. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with AU. Definitely bearish, good volume there. And then of course, for us to consider this bullish, we need to clear 0.74. So right where all this resistance is, price action has to get through that and then give us a higher low, right? First characteristic of a bullish trend. That's when we'd be interested in looking for long scenarios. All right, but for now, yeah, definitely it's either going to continue to drop, hit this target, or it's going to pull back and, maybe give us another entry opportunity. So that's AU, but looking pretty good. Pretty good. Check the daily real quick. Actually, I didn't start off on that one. But yeah, so yeah, very, very likely that it could continue to this next zone, right? 0.73, reasonable target, not something ridiculous like to the next monthly zone. Very, very reasonable. And then we'll reanalyze once we get back to that point. But yeah, very strongly bearish here. Good bearish trend. And the 4 hour is definitely continuing in that. All right, so let's go on and do AJ. This one could be a pretty decent opportunity. It still needs to show us a little bit more, but let's go to the daily real quick. So we were bullish, we flatlined, area of consolidation, transitioned into a bearish trend right here. Right here is the break, retest, lower high, break of this support level again, and then lower lows, lower highs, and so on and so on. So definitely bearish, as we can see. We are now also below the 200 EMA, something to note. Let's go down to the 4 hour now. So this is where it looks pretty good, where this could be a potential setup probably fairly early in the week, probably tomorrow, maybe after late afternoon if it does execute in this way. So overall bearish, as we know, we did break below this support level right here, 87.5. Okay, failed lower high, didn't follow through with conviction, although it gave us a engulfing. Just wasn't ready to push lower. It needed to pull back for more structure, which it did. Pulled back and hit the 61.8, and then started consolidating at that point between this resistance 81.4 and the support level 87.5 again. So we're basically still consolidating because this is more or less a false breakout, right? There was no conviction here. This is not really a lower high. If anything, this is a fake out right here, this wick, because that would have been the confirming candle of this lower high below support, or below support as new resistance. But it rejected and then pushed higher. So this more or less right here is like a fake out. Okay, didn't follow through, didn't have the conviction to push lower. So it pulled back into the range, and we actually tested the 50%. So it's honestly just coming back for a retest. And now, we pretty much are faced with the same scenario as we were back here. We're waiting for a break lower, looking for a lower high to then continue with the overall bearish trend. And now it actually looks pretty good. This volume is nice. This is definitely looking a little bit stronger than back here. These volumes are picking up in volume opposed to dying down in volume. So this is nice. Good rejection there. So maybe we'll see MA cross right now, have this candle or the next one break just below support, give us that retest, confirm the lower high, and then follow through with conviction finally so we can enter. And then we're going to target lower down towards the negative fib levels, and maybe even lower towards the 79 level, psychological level right around here. Okay, so this one's looking pretty promising. Probably, my potential favorite for the week. I mean, if this plays out just like this will be a phenomenal trade, textbook trade. It's what I always look for here on AJ after a period of consolidation. Just a classic break and retest. So that'd be nice to see. That'd be good. But if this does break to the upside, what do we really need to see to consider it bullish? Where would we then be interested in taking long scenarios? Really, that would need to first be a transition of 81.4, right? So we want to see this kind of break consolidation in a bullish way, see the higher low, and then, we'll look for continuations and then start targeting resistance levels after that. But it's got to prove a lot. This is definitely a very apparent bearish trend here. And this would be really, really nice to see. But a few more confirmations away, so we'll see how it plays out. Again, that's probably more of a late Monday move. Again, we'll see. Depends on if it consolidates or not. But let's jump over to UJ here. daily time frame to start. So we already know we covered DXY. It's looking more bullish, right? It's either going to continue bullish or it's going to start to pull back. So we're more or less waiting for that. And the trend is pretty similar here on UJ, overall bullish, right? We had a little bit of choppiness in here. It's kind of pushing low, pulling back pretty deep, pushing lower, and now it's pulling back deep again. So like, it's still overall bullish. We've been finding massive support down here at 109.15. So let's jump to the 4-hour and see what we can kind of find on this time frame. Okay, so we actually were seeing price action get squeezed over here once this was forming. This was heavy consolidation, little fake out down here, pulled back into the pattern, and then we were waiting for it to break out. So it actually broke to the downside. Nice lower high right there, dropped all the way to 109.15, reversed very, very hard, and practically no confirmations here that were, you could have caught a reversal on the thing, just took off, went bullish as hell. And we're pretty much back in the area where we saw consolidation. So we don't want to jump the gun on this one. We know that price action has consolidated in this area and even maintained large volume. So we really just want to wait. We're going to be careful. We're not going to jump the gun. Ideally, if this is going to continue bullish, I want to see it push a little bit higher. What's the harm in really clearing this zone? I really want to see this be a nice, strong push, probably halfway into the zone, maybe a little bit less, and then start to pull back. Give us that higher low at that point, and then start to follow through with that same momentum. That's when we're interested in taking trades. And I could see that, or well, ideally, I'd like to see that happen in this area. Then I could take a long scenario off this, after this higher low is confirmed, and then just take a nice, easy trade into resistance at 111.5. That to me just makes the most sense given what we've seen recently. This is overextended, so if it pulls back now, I'm not going to be interested in a long scenario, right? That wouldn't mean a long scenario. That would mean it found resistance. So really, it's overextended at this point, but I want to see it go even more to a even more overextended area and then pull back and get a nice deep pullback, because then you'll just have a great trade set up at the end of it. So that's what we're looking like on UJ right now. It is actually favoring this bullish outlook, believe it or not, just based on what DXY is showing us as well. So this will be interesting to see. We'll see how it plays out. But again, if it does reverse here, let's say we find resistance, this just becomes some crazy expanding pattern, which is, it's possible. Just like this, hold on, let me set this up properly. Where is it? There it is. So you have this descending trend line here, and then key resistance is up here, right? So the volume is increasing, as you can see. That's a possibility too. And then if it drops below 110 with the lower high, then I'd be interested in shorting. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And then there'd be a pretty good trade opportunity, right? We'd look to target down towards the next support level and maybe even lower. All right, but for now, we are all the way up in here, and we have no choice but to wait and see how it reacts at this level. Okay, so let's just check chat real quick. We're seeing 1660. Oh, that was talking about gold. Okay. All right, so that's UJ. Let's move over to EJ. Daily time frame. All right, this one's bearish as hell too, and it actually looks like it's setting up to be a really nice short position. But we'll get into that in a second. Overall, we were bullish for a while, right? Then we had a nice reversal here around the weekly. We actually did clear it. We even got the higher low, but then we pushed a little bit higher, and that was just it for price action. The bulls had run their course. This was one hell of a rally, and they just reversed up in this area close to 134, flat almost, pretty damn close. Impressive, very, very close. So that's a nice psychological level. It reversed at that point, found some support back at the weekly, and then broke. And that was the transition. That was when the daily transition from bullish trend to bearish trend took place, and it reversed with pretty good volume. And yeah, we've been bearish since then. So let's see if we're going to continue. We're now just below 130 flat as resistance. So let's take a look at the 4-hour. All right, so this one's a simple chart, but very clear as to what we need to see to make a trade. Okay, so we did just break below 130, and we have been kind of consolidating around this area. So we haven't been seeing great lower highs below it. We haven't been seeing great higher lows above it. Essentially, this is just consolidation, right? You could call it some sort of pattern, whatever you want. It's essentially dancing around this key level. And until we see that conviction and more major of a move, then we can really, figure out where it's going. And we're seeing that now, right? So opposed to a bad example, low volume example, high or low like this, right? See how it's only a few candles, doesn't really have much conviction, didn't even break the prior high. Now we're getting more of a move, right? Large volume break, pushes significantly into the zone, then goes for the retest, even pulls back through the MAs, reverses very nicely, gives us bearish confirmation, and then gives us MA cross as well with more confirmation. That's a nice break and retest, right? That's ideal. Not some choppy setup that you can't take a trade on. Okay, so this is obviously bearish now. We're seeing this lower high confirm as we speak, and could be on its way lower. And this honestly could be a good entry. I mean, I don't like the gap, but let's say another candle had formed and it was, a good bearish candle, that would be a good entry at this point, and then the trade would look like this essentially. Essentially look like this. Not really a 2-to-1. Honestly, I'd like to be a little bit higher. The entry, proper entry would be a little bit there, but pretty close to 2-to-1. But yeah, decent trade opportunity. I probably would have thought the zone was a little bit further away. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you get low volume. You really need a lot of volume to catch a good move. Well, let's go back to the daily for a second on this. Just want to double check this zone. So yeah, so we are near key support. The 200 EMA is there. So this is really the max target that I'd be interested in taking, because what we have seen in the past is massive rejection from this zone. So if it doesn't line up, if you can't at least get a 2-to-1, in my opinion, I wouldn't probably take it. I'd let it ride out, but you definitely catch a lower time frame trade if this retest. So if this pulls back to form a double top or something too, you'd be able to enter on that trade. That'd be a good scenario. But you really just want to confirm this lower high, whether it happens now or on another pullback. That's really what you want to wait for. And for us to consider EJ bullish, really just want to see a break back above 130 with a higher low to retest and confirm it. But yeah, that would be more of that'd be a better risk reward trade, because again, that zone is further away from this, compared to this short scenario. Damn, that's a shame though. That's a shame. It looks good, but upon measuring it, it's a little close, a little bit close. But yeah, that's EJ for this week. Definitely bearish. And then we covered gold, so we can take another look at that. Yeah, see, it's pulling back quite a bit now. We're pretty much at the halfway point. This wick is almost half the size of this whole candle here. So, damn, that's pretty big.
Oh my God.
It's a big ass wick, man. This is a daily time frame, guys. Daily time frame. Look at that, 800 pips.
Wow, it dropped even further since the beginning of the call.
Yeah, just over 800, 800
Oh, I
ish.
guess
And
not.
now it's pulling back 400.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's been scrunching up since we started. I
Damn.
want to find. Let me find the time that it. Yeah, look.
Yeah, it hit there at like 650. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now it's moving sideways. So yeah, there's really nothing to say about this other than this was, some news events that took place. There's no trade here unless you guys are into gambling. But yeah, you just gotta wait for it to kind of form more price action, right? That's all you can do at that point. If you really wanted to, you could scroll back to find other examples of, high volume moves like this, just to see how price action reacted after. Oftentimes it'll move pretty much sideways, give us a big wick and then it'll move sideways. Sometimes it'll come back with, just as much volume and then continue the, normal price action it was forming. Or sometimes it will wick down like this and then completely reverse and shoot even higher. So it all depends on the pair, what you're trading, what asset you're trading. But yeah, gold. What a Sunday. What a Sunday. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I mean, if you want to recap any of this, I posted it all on Telegram and Discord. It's just the trading view links. You guys can play them forward, and you have access to these pretty much through all week, as long as they're relevant. All right,
Oh
so
yeah.
pass it off to Angelo. We'll get into some of those pairs and see what's going on.
Yeah, Hamza, I'm sure people with these challenges probably just got smoked on gold right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's gonna be very interesting to look at. So yeah, stay away from gold right now, guys.
Oh, my camera was off.
Let's see this. Stay the hell away from gold. We're gonna hop on. Let's see.
Yeah, right. If anybody took that short, you guys made out well. If anybody took that short, damn.
Whew. Yeah, I saw some people in the chat that actually got in on that. That's pretty wild. Like
Yeah,
more power to you.
it's a big move.
Let's
More
see.
pips than I've made in a few hours, right?
Yeah, I'm picking up more pips than the goat, huh? All right, let's see. We're gonna get started with, we'll run through some of the major pairs. I'm just gonna revisit DXY. DXY has been just in an interesting kind of spot because personally I've been expecting DXY to reverse kind of from the area which it's at right now. If we just kind of zoom in, we can see that we are currently at this level of resistance. So previously price came down, formed some support right around this 93, 92 level right here, 92.5. And we came up, hit a wall of resistance where price never managed to make it above 94. And then we formed a new low, pulling back up to retest this previous low, rejection. And then now, you know, we're at the prototypical kind of higher low or lower high area. I'm sorry. If we just trace this out, we can clearly see from a more macro perspective, price form these lower lows and lower highs. Obviously, once we start to look into these candles a little bit more, we can see that we had a little bit of a break and retest go on right in this area where price broke above, retested it, and now that's what we're currently seeing. But I'm still pretty confident that price will reject in this area. Considering how much negativity is really surrounding the dollar, I mean, COVID's coming roaring back.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's really not much to be positive about when it comes to the dollar. I guess, you know, like Nick said, there was some sort of news fundamental event that triggered everyone to want to pull their money out of gold, you know, in the last 2 hours, which is pretty wild. So they wanted to put money back into the dollar. I think just as easily that happening, money is going to come out of the dollar. People are going to pull their money out. Again, just because I don't see right now being as a place to really invest in. But, you know, we'll see. I think for me, the ultimate confirmation is going to be to get above this 93 area. We can go ahead and label this out. I really think that price is going to struggle to get above this area. So like right in here, if price does manage, if we manage to break this resistance, form this new high, pull back, we get that first higher low. This would really confirm to me, you know, that we're shifting trends right here. I mean, we just looking at this is overall still very bearish. I mean, even coming up to the monthly time frame right here, we can see price has been falling off ever since May of 2020. And then now we are finding a little bit of a bottom, but there is serious resistance right in this 93 area. So, and last month we could see already rejected it quite well. So with that in mind, on the weekly time frame, you know, coming down to the 4-hour and taking a look at what's going on, we had this break of trend. We were ascending higher, you know, on DXY. Then we had this wedge form at the top on the higher time frame, not even on this time frame. But we ended up falling out of the wedge. We had this large push down, about 1% move. But now, as you can see, we're hiking back up. But we are coming back into the resistance level. So I personally am going to be weary of this zone. We can mark a ton of confirmations on here to be bearish in this area. We've got the supply zone, obviously this previous high point. So we just want to be careful, you know, that we don't get too trigger happy and get too bullish on the dollar until, in my opinion, this area is officially broken. So with that in mind, coming down, let's go to NZD USD first, and let's just hop up to the weekly time frame, we can clearly see with this price was pushing higher ever since May of 2020. So we are in that downtrend on DXY and this uptrend on NZD USD. And then we had this double top in this area. So May of 2021, we double top from this price as we covered really in this session. So right around 73, where price found that resistance. And now we are all the way down at this support level. And we've been talking about the potential reversal from this level for several weeks now. Look how price has dipped into this area, forming all these reversal candles, doji, this inverted hammer candle, or hammer candle right here. So another doji, and then last week, this inverted hammer candle. So right now we are showing that we should be reversing, that we should be pushing up on this weekly time frame. Although we're getting that dollar momentum, we're getting that little bit of a push from the dollar. I do want to keep in mind, if we kind of just looked at this very granularly, we can see that price was clearly in a downtrend. Clearly we were making, just zoom out a little bit, we were making these lower highs. We'll go ahead and just trace it out. So we made this lower low, this lower high, and we failed to retest the low, but then ultimately we made a new low, and then we had this go on, where we now have pushed and made this new little high. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hide this. And let's look at this a little bit more closely. Just down on this time frame alone, momentum was clearly very bearish. And then now we're getting sort of a breakout on this lower time frame. If we were to actually draw like a little bit of a trend line and then bring things back on, the trend was very bearish in this area. Now we're getting sort of a breakout of that trend. And here, let's just clear this up and actually take this off as well. Let's just kind of focus on this area. Clearly, this is what broke. We had that lower high break, and we're not going to get too into like breaks of structure right now, but clearly this momentum broke, trend line broke, previous lower high broke, made this push up, always looking to buy on the first higher low, push to a new higher high. Now we're essentially looking to buy on this next higher low. We can bring the fibs on there, and we can sort of look, where would be the areas for potential confirmations here. This was obviously the previous high area, which we've already broken below. And then the next area for what it looks like really would be down here. We're trying to like actually play it safe. So down in this area, we have this previous demand zone, this previous higher low. This is where we would have that second confirmation. But I'm not even opposed to starting to take buy opportunities in this area if price starts to close and kind of rejects, because this was that previous high point that we are testing. We're not going to get kind of too extra with this. It's pretty self-explanatory. First higher low is what we're looking for. If we get a kind of a conviction candle here, we get a spinning top right here, we get a doji here followed up by a bullish candle, we can potentially start to look for these buy opportunities. This would be the actual trade idea. And again, guys, this is swing trading. This is what we're covering in this session. So the stops are going to be wide. We're looking for at least 2-to-1 risk reward. We're using the fibs to put down our stop losses along with these previous higher low points. So this is kind of what the trade would look like. This is what trade idea number one would look like. We'd be wanting to long right here based on a conviction candle. So obviously this isn't going to close yet. 30 more minutes on this one. Sure, you could just long right after this spinning top. But because I don't have like a strong kind of support level here, I kind of would want to wait personally, but you could definitely long right after this closes because this is showing us the lower time frame is slowing up. But I would want to see kind of the next candle, see how that goes. Now on the flip side, if this thing manages to get all the way below this previous area, that's when I would start to look for sells. This would kind of be like a sell-off. I'm just going to clear some of this up. This would kind of then become like a sell-off here. If this manages to break this higher low, I would immediately look for sell opportunities on the retouch of this level. We target that previous low. And again, we do at least 2-to-1, 3-to-1. So I'll post this analysis inside of Telegram and Discord, so you guys can kind of follow it for the week. But I'm pretty, confident with how this thing is lining up. Momentum shifting a bit to be bullish. So again, we'll see. So let's go to USD CHF next. I've already got this one marked up. So let's just shift up to the higher time frame. So on the higher time frame, this is sort of the idea. We've got our weekly level up here, which hasn't really moved much. We've had these levels marked for a few weeks now. We've got 92, like this 93, or not exactly 92, 500 area, right around this zone. And then down here, we've got this 90, 500 area. So this is just based on previous lows, previous highs. As you can see when we zoom out, this was a serious support level resistance right there. We had some indecision and then obviously acted as resistance more previously. And then in this area, acted as support all along this line. And then if we zoom back even farther, we had some more indecision kind of all along this area that we're not going to worry too much about, but definitely a level nonetheless. And then obviously just found support there. So this is the weekly zones. We have these marked, our weekly key levels. And then coming down to the daily and even the 4 hour, daily time frame first, we can clearly see price has broken support. Now it's retesting this support level as resistance, form this lower high. So I am, looking for this to potentially go short, even though this 4 hour time frame is very bullish right now. It has come up quite a bit. It's moved up about 2%, 1.5%. So it has definitely moved quite a bit, but I'm still trying to look at the bigger picture always. What would be my ideal, swing trade in this scenario? And guys, if I was swing trading this, if I was looking for a position, it would simply be to look for the next higher low or lower high. It would be to look for the next lower high. We just broke support, form this new low. If we bring on these trend lines, which, I'm not too big on using, but trend is definitely, momentum is definitely down. It's got our point A, point B, point C. So momentum is definitely bearish, guys, overall. And we are now retesting what I like to say is a key level on the 4 hour. We had support all along this area, acted as resistance, acted as support all in this area, acted as resistance. So now we're kind of back in that area. So this is trade idea number one, is literally to short right in this area. But first we have to wait for conviction. We could just short it. Don't get me wrong. Stops are really wide. I put it like that because of the fact that we don't have tons of confirmation. Say we had a bearish engulfing, shit, we could drop stops to half the size. But because we don't have that like conviction candle right now, this is where we would have to put stops. And there is an opportunity. Say you did enter now, there is an opportunity to get in on this thing again if it does decide to retrace on us. So if it comes up in this area, I would actually look to short this again up in this 92, 200 level because of the fact that this is this previous resistance level. We've got like another 4 hour key level. And again, overall, I am just bearish on this. If this thing just starts to shoot up, then I'll still continue to look to swing trade this. Coming up to the daily time frame, we can see it a little bit better. The daily, that would be retesting this lower high that was formed, and this was definitely like a support or resistance level that we have to be mindful of. So until we get back really up to this area, or like say on the 4 hour, we see something like this. Right now, there's a lot of conviction. It's just moving up, right? Which leads me to believe it's going to run out of steam and start to fall down. If we instead start to form a trend, right, on the 4 hour, we just start to form these like higher lows, higher high, we start to trend, that's when this whole entire situation changes. We can start to look at this more as a bullish pattern as opposed to right now just being like a retracement, which is kind of exactly what I believe it to be. So that's my idea on USD CHF. Let's go next to GU. Let's bump up.
This looks great.
Yeah, so
GU's looking nice.
Yeah, GU is definitely looking a bit interesting right now. We don't want to kind of overthink this. It's right where we kind of need it to be. I'm not even going to hit the weekly time frame. So we have the weekly time frame right here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and bring on, this isn't like my most favorite head and shoulders in the world, but it's definitely forming something, potentially the right shoulder right now. And if this thing could then break, obviously there's a lot of room. And I feel like GU's been kind of overdue for a long time to come down. It started to hike up in November. So it's kind of been overdue. I'm not too sure if that head and shoulders, I want to leave that on there, but at the same time, weekly time frame, I like to just look for two things. For those that have been following, I just look at the key level. So this is my key level up here, 141, about 141, 500. And then we have another level down here at 136, 700, right in this area. So that's what I look for on the weekly, number one. And then number two is, how did the previous few weeks candles close? Last week's candle closed bearish. Look at the wick, look at the body, so we closed bearish. We didn't exactly engulf or anything like that, to be honest. And we did have this conviction candle to the downside, but this is telling me that price struggled to break this 139, 138.9 area. So it's could potentially push down for this week. And then coming to the 4-hour time frame, I mean, this was it's very similar to like NZD USD. We kind of had this breakout. We had this little break of momentum right here. Let's draw this out. So price actually shifted to the upside. I was actually looking for buys above this area. If you were following last week, we were in some buys, enough to move our stops, but nothing too crazy. Didn't end up pushing to that new high, and then now we just fell off. So at this point now, I'm not going to short it yet, but if we do get a pullback and we get that first lower high, this is the level to stay below. If price moves back above this level, we could potentially see like some buying potential. If price moves above this level and we start to see that, that's when I would be in more of a buyer sentiment. But as long as we are staying below this level, this is going to be a short kind of all the way. So we'll see this week how it plays out. Realistically, over the next day, we're gonna get a good idea as to what's going on. If this candle closes bearish in 18 minutes, which it most likely will, because volume is gonna be kind of dead, and then it follows up with like 2 more bearish candles, we should be looking to short this, right? We should be trying to short it on the next retest. If this wicks out and then starts to move higher, and gets above this 138.8 area, then it's like, okay, buyers may still be trying to hold above this level. So then we'd have a bit of a different idea on that one. So that's GU. Again, no trade at the moment, but we are monitoring it for potential shorts. And then let's go next to UCAD. One thing I do want to note is we are kind of all over the board this week. We have NU where we're potentially looking for buys, USEF where I'm looking for sells. So that would mean the dollar would be getting much weaker. And then we have GU, which we're looking for potential sells, right? Which would mean the dollar would be gaining some strength against the Great British Pound. So that's a bit different of a sentiment. Nothing wrong with that. A few different ideas. And then we can come over to UCAD. Let's just bump up to the weekly real quick. So UCAD, I just have a love-hate relationship with UCAD right now because literally, look at this. It's very self-explanatory. On the weekly, we've been forming lows, lower highs, low, lower high, low, lower high, low, lower high. And then now we're starting to get a bit of like a transition, a very sloppy transition right now where I'll just map this out. We broke this level, retested it as support last week, and now it looks as though we're going to push up, right? It looks like we're going to push up. Looks like the dollar is going to continue the upside, which is fine because ultimately our key level is up here. This is where we're looking to short from. Analysis. Really just purely technical, Adrian. I do like we are swing trading, so for the most part, we are not too worried about the bigger events. But like as we can see here, the dollar, let's just zoom in. I do have the events on my chart where I am looking out for and like weary of. I mean, the main things I'm with the swing trading I look out for is just like FOMC right now and NFP, more of the bigger events. Other than that, not too worried about it, unless like I'm close to stops or something. But anyway, on the weekly, we could see here, if price comes back into the zone, it has already rejected it once, with a lot of power. So it's likely that it'll reject this area one more time, 127 area. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame, we just zoom out. We were moving to the upside, we were making higher highs and higher lows, but then all of a sudden, price decided to make this lower high. Boom. Now we made this lower low, lower high. So we're starting to reverse the trends. And that's why now we're in this very interesting spot. So we started to reverse the trend. Then we made this higher low right here, which obviously is showing us that price is not pushing to the upside. I am not buying until we see one of two things. Just to make it as clear as possible, this would be the most ideal situation. Price comes like this and doubles down on this level as resistance after it acting, or doubles down as it acting as support after it acts as resistance, right? So it forms that higher low. Or what we could potentially see is another higher low form. Now, this would be, a little bit more risky to kind of get in on. It's not my most ideal play, kind of like, to be honest, at all, but we could see another higher low form and get in on that. I'm personally not going to take that trade. I'd rather see either price get below this area, do a little bit of a retest here, and then start to sell. And then long term, if price can get below this trend line, we're going to have a lot of action here to the downside, which I will be looking for. But at the moment, based on how price is opening, it's just very sloppy. I don't have a trade on it right now, which is fine. I'll update it later in the week, tomorrow or the next day. It's really just based on this level for me. This level 1255, this is my support or resistance level. Obviously, it acted as support very aggressively for a period of time. Then it acted as resistance very well. So this is what I'm playing off of. This is what I'm going to go off of for this week, but no trade immediately on UCAD, which is obviously completely fine. So last but not least, I'm going to cover GJ. Let's just hit the weekly time frame. So GJ on the weekly, overall, we know based on just looking at this for the longest time, guys, is we are bullish, bullish on the weekly for sure. It has been bullish for quite some time. Then, we had this large wick ass candle 4 weeks ago, about the beginning or the middle of July. We had this candle form support, start to establish this as a support level. And then this looks weak as hell. Like, to be honest, this looks super weak. We're not getting that conviction where this is just pushing to the upside. It is struggling against this 153.3 area. So let's go down, because again, weekly time frame, two things: looking for the levels, which we're in the middle of no man's land right now, and then just literally looking at price action. Price action is showing us these spinning top candles, spinning top, again, these like candles that are losing at the end of the day conviction. So coming down to the 4-hour and just zooming out, 4-hour time frame is in a downtrend. Very clearly, it's in a downtrend, forming lows, lower highs, low, lower high. And now we're coming back up to this lower high area. So this area obviously previously has rejected quite well. Let's see if we can get this. So we've already rejected this level once, twice, and then obviously, acted as support, like minor support, but more importantly, rejected this level twice. So I'm not going to look to buy once we're in this area. Why would I start to buy at this zone, 153.3? I'm either going to wait for this level to break and hit it on the retest, or I'm just going to simply sell. I'm going to simply get in with the sellers, get in with the party and just sell this. Price hasn't eclipsed this price in a long time. So this would kind of be what the first target would look like. And then ultimately, obviously, we'd be looking for it to break there. We have like target number 2 down in this area, and then target number 3 all the way would come down at the bottom. Let's just move back up to the daily. And the daily, you can see the trend a little bit more clearly. Trend is bearish forming lows, lower highs, had a little bit of a higher low action here, but then ultimately pushed to a new low, lower high, lower low. So we are perfectly retesting a previous lower high, and we have this doji. So came up, doji, you know the deal, next candle, you know the vibes. It's gonna most likely push to the downside on this one. So GJ, I might actually even be taking a trade on this one after the call. This one's shaping up to be one of the better trades for the week. So I'm gonna move that one up. We've got GU, obviously, which is kind of a make or break. We can either short it now or we can wait, and I'm gonna wait on that one. UCAD, I've got nothing. And then NU, I really do like for those longs, guys. I really do. We'll see how this closes in 10 minutes, and then we can also make a decision. If you are, not as confident in it, then I would just wait for another conviction candle, wait for a bullish engulfing, and then you guys can go long. So that's everything that I have from me, all the analysis. I'll get all my analysis posted inside of the Telegram and the Discord, and it's going to be another interesting week this week, guys. I see a lot of you in the funded trader challenges. We obviously have a few going on right now with the members. So some of our members are taking it and we're posting it publicly for people to see. What we're going to do is every month, we're going to either let some of our members or some people publicly in the Telegram take challenges for free. And we're just going to all follow it. We'll have everyone kind of review what's going on. We'll make a whole, make it an educational type thing. Maybe we'll have a webinar where we kind of talk about it. But considering, obviously we have the funded trader, we want you guys to take advantage of the challenges as much as possible. That being said, don't take the challenge if you don't know how to put a fucking stop loss on. Don't take the challenge. Like literally, there are some people taking the challenge that don't even know the market opens at 5 on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like
it's a red flag.
Like you go, like they don't, like they get the credentials and it's like 1 p.m. on Sunday and they're like, the market's not open. Like I can't enter a trade. Like it's just you don't know how to trade. Like you've never traded before. You can't be, you can't be taking a challenge when you never actually traded. Yeah, no, obviously I know everyone's time zone is different, but it's like know what time the market opens in your time zone. Like that's like step number one.
Yeah, that's your duty as a trader is to prepare yourself for the market. You're already at a disadvantage, So like these unrealistic expectations and these I'm gonna get funded after learning of trading a week ago. You just got to be real with yourself, and you're just spitting facts at this point.
So it is what it is. But if you're like, this is what I would say. These are my steps to getting funded, right? For all you guys listening, potentially watching the replay, these are the steps. Step number one, find some sort of, nothing about trading, right? Find some sort of source of information. There's so many free places to learn trading. Obviously, there's courses like for our course, there's other courses, programs. Enroll in something, whether it's free or it's paid. Get a mentor, get some sort of guidance. It'll literally shorten everything by a lot, right? So get some sort of mentorship, YouTube, whatever. Then go through all the material, understand things thoroughly, know what time the market's open, have some sort of baseline foundation, some sort of strategy, right? Then get on a demo account, start executing, get familiarized with the platforms, try to actually implement a strategy, do back testing. So obviously that's one of the core like foundations of our course is literally before you even demo, you should back test, right? You should get on the charts, be testing out, okay, these are my conviction, my source of conviction. These are my confirmations, right? Whenever I see this in the demo back test, I'm going to execute, right? That's when I'll execute my trade. That way you're simulating making decisions. If you've never made a decision before on something, you don't just put money on it. That's called gambling, right? So make decisions, simulate, practice, and then, maybe get on the demo or even go right to a live, but only use $100 and $200, right? Use $100, $200, get on a live account, starts at, and this is the hardest part, is literally taking 0.01s on $100 account, because obviously you got into trading trying to make a lot of money, right? And it hurts to trade with $100. Like it literally hurts, because the result is you make like 3 cents or 5 cents on trades. But the reality is you'd rather lose 3 cents, 5 cents, $1, $2, $10, than lose $100 or $300 or $1,000, right? You'd rather lose that minuscule amount, but you're still emotionally attached to the money because it's something. If you'll be surprised, if you made a $10 on $100 account, you are gonna think you are the man or the woman. You're gonna think you're a legend, right? Because you made money. If on a demo, if you make money, you don't think you're a legend or whatever. You're just kind of like in your ego, like, shit, like maybe I can do this live. You know what I mean? You never did it live. You know what I mean? Once you do it live, it's a little bit different. So once you get a little bit of a strategy down, you have some consistency, maybe you can even repeat what your strategy is to somebody else. That's another big thing, is it's like, if you don't even know what you're looking for, what are you looking for at the end of the day? Once you can do that, then go and get a challenge. Maybe start with a free challenge, like a demo, like a whatever, free challenge, trial. Maybe go for the lowest account size, go for 50K, a few $100. The way that I look at it is, instead of putting in $300, once you get to the point where you're consistent and you're trading $300, maybe you make 10%, $30, you might as well go for the challenge, because the risk reward is stupid. It's nice, right? You pass both phases, you get a 50K account. As long as you trade conservatively, you make 5% on a 50K account. Obviously, it's a big deal. You make a few $1,000, $1,000. That's change. It doesn't change your life, but it definitely gives you a different idea as to what you're doing. You make $1,000 trading, like, okay, it's a big deal. So that's kind of my steps to go ahead and to get funded. Don't just buy a challenge and just wish and hope and dream. That's when you're going to be 10 challenges deep, like shit. The next challenge is the next, the one I'm going to hit. That's when you get into this like gambling mindset, and it gets out of the probabilities mindset. And I'll probably put together a video for the funded trader kind of on this concept, but it's very easy to over challenge, to take too many challenges at the point where you fail a couple. You probably shouldn't take another, guys. You should probably step back and go back through those phases to build yourself back up, right? Because you could easily get into that gambler's mindset where it's like, let me just throw another 500 on challenge, another 800 on challenge. But you're becoming very like, you're reaching for the target as opposed to following a plan. And what we tell our members, at least the ones that come to us and ask about challenges and what they should do, is it's like, don't even worry about the time limit. Don't even worry about the target. Trade the plan, whatever you're looking for, whatever trades you're looking for, whatever sessions you're looking in, you know what I mean? Trade the plan. And when it comes to the end of your time, if you're short on the percentage, obviously you have to, the minimum trading days, make sure you trade 8 days. That's like, make sure you do that. But if you're short on the percentage, on the final trade, if you're up 3%, risk 3%. Risk just enough where you're going to maintain for the retry. Risk 4% if you're up. If you're down, you got nothing to lose at that point. Risk 4% on the next trade to go for the retry. You know what I mean? That's when at the end, if you're out of time, you have to have a different kind of plan, different style. In my opinion, if you really want to, and sure, there's people that do crazy shit on these challenges. They buy a challenge within the first day, they take 50 lots on indices, pass it. Guess what? These people, if you pass the challenge, you don't deserve to pass. Once you get the funded account, you're gonna lose it in less than a week. Like, you're gonna lose it in a day, in 10 trades. Like, I'll guarantee you, we have the data. If you're a gambler during the challenge phases and you get the funded account, I will guarantee that you will fail the funded account, because you don't have a plan. You don't have a strategy at the end of the day. And the goal isn't to pass a challenge. The goal is to make money at the end of the day.
Yep.
So that's my 2 cents. I know like more people in the funded trader and stuff want to hear our perspective on, how many people pass challenges, blah, 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 like all challenges this, challenges that, our perspective. We're not here to give you the statistics of who passes and who fails, but guys, like any other industry, 99.9999% of people are failing at becoming a professional baseball player, at becoming a professional poker player, at becoming a professional trader. And being a prop firm trader is becoming a professional, you know. So you don't need to know, oh, it's 80%, 60%, 50%. It's 99.999999999%. Like this is one of the hardest professions at the end of the day. The opportunity is very large. It's very great, obviously. So it's just, risk reward at this point. So don't take the challenges, guys, if you're not ready. Moral of the story, get educated, ask people for help, like inside the Forex League Telegram. There's so much going on in there now. There's so many, Hamza, you're the 0.0001%. There's so many people in there willing to help, including us. We'll probably start to do this month. We'll do like a webinar, like a more beginner type webinar and stuff, kind of get back into that. But yeah, guys, take your time. It's not a get rich quick type of deal. If you want to be a trader, in a year, 2 years, whatever, you could comfortably become one. But I'll tell you this right now, buying a course and then taking a challenge and within 2 months thinking you're going to be funded with $1 million, you just got to be realistic at the end of the day. So that's my 2 cents.
Yep. It's just one of those things you got to be realistic about. It's not like a rigged gambling thing where it's possible to make $1 billion overnight. It's not like that at all. It's like Angelo said, it takes a lot of work. I think personally it is slightly easier than becoming a professional athlete because, how many are there out of hundreds of millions of people?
Well, I think the only difference is the effort. Like to become a professional athlete,
that's what I was going to say.
You have to have like a serious talent or the physical attributes. Yep. Like in trading, your IQ doesn't essentially need to be that high, but the discipline, is insane. Like,
and that's why 99.9% don't make it, because they don't have the discipline or they're not willing to, develop the discipline that it takes to become a professional trader. So it's not that it's impossible to do, it's just that most people won't put forth the effort that it takes to reach that.
There's like no room for error.
Yeah, very little, and you have to have a good hold on that, that throughout trading,
psychologically and everything like that. So yeah, thanks for staying on, everyone that's stuck on for the end. We're gonna be putting out some more motivational stuff. I put some stuff out there this weekend. At this point, me and Nick have been doing this stuff for a long time. You know what I mean? We've been doing this stuff for a long time. We've definitely seen a lot. We've seen more than you guys can even imagine. And if we were to release it to the public, a lot of people would be sad at the end of the day. So we've seen a lot. We're just trying to be realistic with everyone, give people opportunities. And as long as you guys are, willing to listen and at the end of the day, work hard, you could certainly take advantage of a lot. Because it's right here. It's right there for you.
Yep. And now's the time, to be totally honest. Now is definitely the time to be in this stuff. For sure.
Oh yeah. It's going. It's going. So I hope you guys have a good week. We'll be back. I almost said Wednesday.
I know. Friday. Well, we're here for you guys all week. If you want to hit us up on Discord or Telegram, drop into chat. You guys can get a hold of us if you need us. But we'll see you guys.
Yes, sir. And congrats to the people. Hamza's here, but anyone else listening that are passing these challenges, you guys are being an exemplary case. Like it's amazing. But be disciplined now. Don't lose it. It's sad. At that point. So yeah,
guys, take care. Have a good one. We'll see you guys soon.
Yes, sir. And stay out of gold.
Yeah, watch out.
Peace out, everybody.